to the Noontime Podcast. Today we begin our presentation of Treasure Island, an exciting pirate adventure written by Robert Louis Stevenson. Today's episode will cover chapters 1 through 3. We will summarize some of the story and read you some of our favorite parts. We hope you will enjoy our presentation. Now, here's a list of our readers. In Chapter 1 of Treasure Island, we meet Jim Hawkins, the storyteller. His parents own the Admiral Benbow Inn. One day, a strange old seafaring man with a scar on his face, called the Captain, arrives at the inn. The Captain drinks a lot of rum and sings songs like 16 men on a dead man's chest, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum. One evening, the Captain has a confrontation with Dr. Livesey, the local physician and magistrate. Dr. Livesey warns the Captain that if he does not stop drinking so much, he will surely have a stroke and die. In Chapter 2, Black Dog, the Captain's former shipmate, surprises the Captain by showing up at the inn. The Captain is obviously afraid of him, but they sit down to talk. However, the talk turns into a cutlass fight. The Captain wounds Black Dog, who runs away. The Captain collapses, but Dr. Livesey comes in just at that moment and is able to save his life. As Chapter 3 opens, the Captain, who is confined to bed to recover, takes Jim into his confidence about the trouble with Black Dog. The Captain is in possession of a treasure map, which is wanted by a band of pirates.
Jim, he said at length, you saw that seafaring man today? Black Dog, I asked. Ah, Black Dog, said he. He's a bad one, but they're worse than put him on. Now, if you can't get away, know how, and they tipped me the black spot. You mind? It's my old sea chest thereafter. You got on a horse and go to that eternal Dr. Swab and tell him to pipe all hands. And he'll lay aboard the Admiral Benbow all old Flint's crew, men and boys, all of them that's left.
I was first mate. I was old Flint's first mate, and I'm the only one as knows the place. He gave it me at Savannah when he laid a dying, like as if I was to know. You see, but you won't peach unless they get that black spot on me, or unless you see that Black Dog again, or a seafaring man with one leg, Jim him above all. But what is the black spot, Captain? I asked. That's a summons, matey. I'll tell you if they get that. But you keep your weather eye open, Jim, and I'll share with you equals upon my honor.
What I should have done had all gone well, I do not know. Probably I should have told the whole story to the doctor, for I was in mortal fear lest the Captain, at least the Captain, should repent of his confusion and make the end of me. But as things fell out, my poor father died quite suddenly that evening, which put all other matter on one side. Our natural distress, the visit of the neighbors, and arranging of the funeral, and all the work of the inn to be carried on in the meanwhile kept me so scarcely time to think of the captain, far less to be afraid of him.
So things passed until the day after the funeral, and about 3 o'clock of a bitter, frosty afternoon, I was standing at the door for a moment full of sad thoughts about my father, when I saw someone drawing slowly near along the road. He was plainly blind, for he tapped before him with his stick, and wore a great green shade over his eyes and nose, and he was hunched as if with great age or weakness, and wore a huge tattered sea cloak with a hood that made him appear positively deformed. I never saw in my life a more dreadful looking figure. He stopped a little before the end and raised his voice in an odd sing-song address the air in front of him. Will any kind friend inform a poor blind man who has lost his precious sight of his eyes in the gracious defense of his native England? And God bless King George, where or in what part of this country he may now be. You are at the Admiral Benbow, Black Hill Cove, my good man, said I.
The blind man grabs hold of Jim and demands to be taken to the captain. When the captain sees the blind man, he is clearly terrified. The blind man tells Jim to take the captain's left wrist and hold out his hand. The blind man slips the black spot into the captain's hand, and then, as quick as can be, he slips out the door and is heard tapping his stick as he escapes down the road.
It was some time before either I or the captain seen together our sense, but long, and about at the same moment I released his wrist, which I was still holding, and he drew his hand and looked sharply into the pan. 10 o'clock, he cried. 6 hours, we'll do that yet. But he sprung to his feet. Even as he did so, he really putting his hand to his throat, standing, swaying for a moment, and then he put a bed down him from his whole high face, foremost to the floor. I ran to him at once, calling to my mother, but haste was all in vain. The captain had been struck dead.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Treasure Island and will tune in again next time.